There. Well, okay. Definitely got to do some selection right here. Okay. So I know y'all can't really see where I'm at here, but I have 3 shoots all growing right on top of each other. So I just reduced that down to the one little fork. And then there's some dead stuff in there too that I'm just putting back. No. Two nodes is going to be right here. This is going to be another good one to propagate from. Clean out some bottom growth. Came from this crotch. Oh, that's thank you. Just a little bit of woody movement in that. Put this back in here. Replace the 2 inner nodes. That stuff. And then two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, what's going on here? Here, I'm gonna spin this around so y'all can see. And this is where that turntable just really is helpful with seeing some stuff you would have missed otherwise. Just a 2. reduce. Reduce. More dead twiggy stuff. Reduce to 2. Okay, so I'm done coming. Oops. Okay, so I'm done coming through, reducing my inner nodes. So I'm going to come through with the scissors and do some light defoliation. Really what I'm going to be targeting here is some of the burnt and damaged leaves scattered around the tree. I'm not doing like a full defoliation. So if we spin this around, I'm going to try and get a good zoom right here. Okay. So, in theory, y'all can see this pretty well. Right here, I have lots of little crispy foliage from that 104-degree day we had last week. So I'm gonna come through and try and just remove the really damaged stuff. Unfortunately, the littlest tree in the forest here looks like it took the brunt of that sun damage. This poor guy looks like it lost a good bit of foliage. So I'm really just taking out the most damaged leaves because I want to preserve as much photosynthesis as I can. Yeah, and then we've got this one, much less singed than the rest. Now, I am pretty bummed about this dieback, or about how much foliage this little one has lost. So I'm going to need to protect this side pretty well, give it a fighting chance to bounce back. Let's see. Rotate. Yeah. This little leaf now. That out of there. Okay. Turn. Okay. One more sun scald. Oh, hey, I see somebody's here. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for jumping in with me. And then, okay. Not too much damage there. I'm gonna have to reposition the camera so we can see some of the burn from above. Just 1 second. Oh. Okay, and then get bam. Okay, so this main trunk here took the rest of the brunt of that sun damage. Wait, can you actually? I'm gonna bring this up just a hair. Sorry, it's a live folk show. Live show, folks? Whatever. So, over here, got some more of that sun scald. Taking out those damaged leaves. And now that I can see a little bit better, I know y'all aren't gonna see this, but there is some crotch growth going on. This weak interior growth we really don't want to encourage the tree to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get that out of here. Actually, the crown of this tree is kind of lousy with weak interior growth. So I don't want to do too much here. Just a little bit of cleanup. Sorry, it's tight quarters back here, so trying not to snip the wrong thing. Beautiful. Okay, so a little bit more clean out. Gonna readjust the camera and then start working on cleaning up the soil. Gorgeous. Okay, so there's just a good bit of debris that's kind of ended up down here and all my moss. And if you guys see this, I'm just gonna pull it out. I'm gonna have to take out a good amount of this moss today as well. It actually has some sort of a gelatinous grossness coming out of it. It's been holding on to a little too much moisture, so wherever I see this kind of gross black jelly, I'm gonna remove some of that moss. help help the forest dry out a little bit better. And because this is contaminated, I'm just going to put it with my scrap leaves. I don't see any reason to try and reuse that moss. Okay. And then in other spots, there's just some debris that's ended up here through the growing season. And I'm going to gently comb that out. Pull it out. Now this is something that tends to work best if you have some needle nose tweezers. I swear I have some. Unfortunately, I can't figure out where they are today. And this needs to get done, whether or not I can find them. In some spots, I've got moss starting to grow up my trunks, so I'm just using the chopstick. Gently scrape this off, making sure not to damage the bark in the process. Then I'm going to go ahead and just clear some of this from around that trunk, so it's not encroaching. Now in Colorado, we love our moss on our bonsai. It really helps with protecting against the sun. We're a mile closer to it than most places. So the sun gets pretty brutal here. This planting though is definitely staying a little too wet, so I'm hoping that it'll do a little bit better once it can air out some more. Gonna just go ahead and rotate this, give you guys an updated view. Sorry about that. Oh, hey, I see there's a couple people here. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're having a lovely summer day, staying out of the heat. Are you guys keeping busy with your own trees at the moment, or enjoying the start of the shutdown? Nice little summer dormancy. It's hasn't quite hit us here in Denver yet, but I imagine it's coming in the next couple of weeks. We really just had our first big heat wave in the last few days, actually. So as cool as the rock feature is on this planting, it is just a magnet for all sorts of debris and detritus, which I'm not particularly enjoying, but it is pretty. Oh, hey now. I'm gonna show you guys this. I just found some kind of eggs in here. Just a moment. Grab that camera. Let's see. Nope. So, right at the tip of my chopstick are these clear gelatinous cubes. Not cubes, sorry, balls. I'm not sure what kind of pest laid them in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and just pull them out. It's gonna take me just a second to put the camera back. What's interesting is they kind of look like tadpole eggs, but we don't really have a lot of frogs and tadpoles, so I'm not too sure what could have laid them. One thing I am going to do while I'm through here, though, is just use the chopstick, clean up some of the moss that's growing up my stone. Try to keep it manageable. Get some more of this black goop that's infested the moss out. Or it's contributing to the moisture problem. You know, it might be why frogs think they can lay eggs in here. Not that I know for sure it's a frog egg, just speculation. Okay. Gonna spin this around a bit. Okay, so over this way, we have got more moss growing up the trunks. So I'm gonna gently scrape with my chopstick. Just kind of pull it off the trunk. Start exposing the bases a bit. I don't think this was a good bonsai moss. I didn't do this planting, but it's definitely one of those kind of crawling, more shaggy mosses that we try to avoid. Around here, the one I'm a real big fan of, we call silver thread moss. It grows in really sunny locations and just has like this nice bluish color to it with like these silver streaks. It makes a really good moss for display. This kind of looks like it's just some kind of a sheet moss, feather moss. And it is just making these little bundles of itself rooting into the soil, so trying to be careful not to damage the trees while I'm getting it out of here. And then got more of this black goop growing out of that moss. Oh, Hold up. Yeah, it's just not pretty. Yes. So I'm gonna make finding a bunch of that silver thread moss a priority. Because I think ultimately all of this moss needs to come off. But here in Colorado, I'm not exactly in a rush to have a nice planting with no moss on it. Because that's just asking for disaster in my local environment. Oh, oh, nope. That is protecting a serious root. Let's get that back. Okay, and I'm sorry that there's just no way y'all are going to be able to see the base of this particular tree pretty well. But it's got some more of that little goop. And get that out. And before moving on from this area, oh, got just maybe one more little patch of this goop I'm waging war on. Trying not to take more moss than I need to with it. Okay. I'm gonna come through and just make sure I got any moss that's growing off of my trunks off. And that there's a little bit of breathing room between the moss and the trunks. Because for now, I have to live with this moss. Moss has to live with me. In a month or two, that won't be the case. But now I gotta get it off these trunks. Is that load-bearing moss? Hold up, this is funny. I think it was right here. Started going for this moss and apparently one of the stones isn't oh. Started going for this moss and the stone's not quite secured. All the others definitely are. I don't know. It's dumb, but I get a chuckle out of these kinds of things. Never would have thought of load-bearing moss. And I really am trying to just take what's growing around the base of the trees, expose the Nobaria hair, and make sure none of it's climbing its way up the trunk. Pretty straightforward. And I'm almost done with this. Once I'm done, gonna come through and clean up the fallen leaves and needles that have accumulated and call this tree done. Now, by getting a little bit of space, maybe quarter inch, half inch from the moss to the trunk, that will kind of help prevent more of it from climbing over in the immediate future. But I am also trying to be mindful that I need this to hold less moisture than it has been. So pulling out any spots that just look unwieldy. And there's an element of going by feel for this. So like when I'm pushing down on the moss right here, I can just tell by the texture that it's literally all moss, like for a solid. Let's see how thick this actually is. Oh, wow, that's funny. So, in the middle of this patch, I guess what I was feeling is a texture difference between this kind of feather moss that I was lamenting a moment ago and the silver thread moss. So this is a lot more like tightly growing, and it just feels thicker under the hand. So I was reading that as like a thick layer of the feather. This is actually the good stuff. So I'm going to kind of clear out some of the stuff that was around it and put that back. Now, the silver thread is pretty slow to cultivate and get going, so I do kind of recommend more just collecting it as you find it versus trying to propagate it, because it's very, very slow going. Anyways, now that I'm done taking some of this moss out, I just want to come clean up my soil. Oh, you guys are more this way than that way. Okay. So I am seeing a couple of slugs coming out of the moss now that I've disturbed it. So I do think I'm going to add a little bit of sluggo to this planter before it goes back outside. But overall, I'm pretty happy with where this forest is at. Thinking about it, I wonder if those were slug eggs we saw earlier. Now that all of these guys are rushing out. Okay, give me just 1 second. Gonna adjust the camera and grab a few things. Okay. Got my little broom here, just gonna do a quick little cleanup of the workspace. And, I've been trying to think of the best way to show some pot cleaning on camera. And I decided what I'm going to try to do is make sure that y'all can have like a nice good view of the pot itself and just kind of rotate the table with this view. So for cleaning my pot, I have some olive oil and a paper towel. I'm just going to give myself a little dab here. And now, I couldn't tell you what about oil causes this, but we use oil for the pots because it helps to build up a patina on the pot. And that's one of those things that communicates like age and heritage that we really value for bonsai. So, it cleans it up, gets it looking fresh, but it also like adds a little bit of a protective something with like some time and charm and character to it. Because like maybe there's a stain that never quite comes off and the oil like really latches onto it over the years, or there's a defect in the glaze or the pot that doesn't really show until that patina has started to develop, and this kind of brings out like the true spirit of it. I don't know. Get some more oil though. Oh wow, looks like there are a few of you in here with me right now. Thanks for joining. It's nice having some folks to work on trees with. Can I ask, do we have any folks who are new to bonsai on this stream? If you have any questions and you want to throw them in the chat, I'm happy to chat with you guys. Totally understand. I wouldn't talk to me either. I kid. I talk to myself way too much. Some of my best material right there. I hope I got at least one pity laugh. So I'm gonna grab my chopstick, oh, it fell to the floor, and go ahead and start kind of tucking the moss in here. It's starting to get in the way, but it also just looks nicer if we tuck it in and let the rim of the pot speak for itself. Like it adds to a sense of like definition between the pot and the planting. And it's also going to let me get in here a little bit better. It's just practical. I have to go this way now. A little bit more oil. Now, if you guys hear that metal rattling noise, I'm sorry, that's my wire on the underside of the turntable kind of bouncing around as I'm scrubbing the pot here. Hope it doesn't sound too tinny through the microphones. Oh no. Friend I got this from said all of the stones should have been secured in the pot. So I'm a little disappointed they're rattling. Oh, no, that's the one that had the load-bearing moss. Okay, I think we're good. Try and make sure I get the feet too. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, that is some sort of a buildup. Maybe the little specks there would have been part of the glaze. I think I'm reaching a point of diminishing returns with what I'm going to be able to get with a paper towel. This stuff along the rim here is pretty caked on. I don't have my pot cleaning toothbrush here, so I think I'm going to have to let this crud live another day. But that's all right. Okay, I'm gonna actually want to check with you guys. Gonna just adjust this a hair. Do you like this more as a front? And more back this way. Oh, gosh. Get some better light on that. You know, I feel like everything's kind of just naturally inclined. And 11. Oh, hi, Harry. Oh, and Bonsai SV. Sorry, I didn't see either of you jump in the chat. And I agree. I love the stones in this planting. It really does feel like a forest, or not a forest, an island. But I quaffle on whether the stone should be kind of in the front or the back. This isn't a composition I put together. But it is one I recently acquired from a good friend of mine, and I'm not quite sure what he was thinking. I'm just trying to make sure I do these trees respect. Okay, I agree with you. I really like seeing that kiss of like jagged cliff edge. So I'm gonna. Okay. Thank you, Harry. Yeah, good stuff. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna do a little bit more cleanup on my moss, but I think we're just about done for today. Want to just make sure I get that nice, good rim. Okay. Oh, got a little something poking out over here. Gonna just make that hair more manageable for myself. I'm gonna grab some sphagnum moss, just dress this spot a little bit. Got a big root here I want to make sure that we keep safe, but I think we are just about done for the day. Thank you guys for joining me. I know I have sphagnum. I know I do. Should be. No. You know what? I actually believe that sphagnum moss is outside, so I'm gonna call it here for the day. Thank you guys for working with me. Oh, sorry, Harry. I see you've got some more questions here. No, I'm not really monitoring humidity with these guys. It's really, really arid in my environment of Colorado. So I've kind of just, I think of it as my maple corner. It's like the shadiest spot that I can manage. And I try my best to just kind of keep the whole area pretty humid. So even if I'm not like watering the trees, I'll water like just the soil and the mulch near the trees to keep that humidity up if it looks dry. But I'm not really monitoring it. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions before I let you guys go? I'm actually paying attention to the chat now. Okay. Well, thank you guys. Oh, you're in 10B SoCal. Wow. I envy you. I'm in, what is this, 6A Colorado? So our winters get pretty brutal. And you're most welcome, Harry. Thanks for chatting with me. That means so much. Yeah, I'll try and do more of these live streams. I've been meaning to do them for a while and just kind of psych myself out, you know? But it's really awesome that you joined me today. I really appreciate it. You have a good one.